linkage just broke. I'm just gonna have to do it in this one gear.
What's up everybody? My name is Elliott, but you can call me the Motory Notary. And remember, just because you buy 2 cars from a famous web series doesn't mean you have one entire car. And that's definitely the case for me with my now duo of ex-CarTrek cars. Both of them need a little something, but one of them definitely needs more than the other. Let's get started. As you guys saw in the last video, I just purchased Tyler Hoover's 1983 Mercedes 300 TD from CarTrek 5. And this car survived a 1,000-mile long journey from Atlanta to Wichita without so much as a mechanical hiccup. And for that, it needs a little bit of reward. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Around the back here, you can see that it is awaiting a treatment of Wix filters for its good behavior. You've got an air filter, a fuel filter, and an oil filter, or whatever, fuel, oil, whatever, it's new filters. And this car definitely has earned this basic service. I'm sure it needs other stuff too, but that is the bare minimum to get this thing rolling reliably again, and I can't wait to do it. But we have more pressing issues with my other CarTrek car, the Maserati. So as you guys remember, the last time I tried to do a fleet update with the Maserati, I had barely gotten out of the driveway when the shift linkage seemed to have failed. I ended up stranding myself pretty much in the middle of the road with no way to get out of it or no way to get it back in gear, and I had to get pushed back into the warehouse and back up onto the lift where the car rests now. But I think I figured it out, and the problem might not be as bad as I thought it was at the time. So let me put the car in the air to show you what I found and what I did to try to fix it. All right, the car is up in the air now and it looks just as awesome from below as it does from above. Let's go see what the problem ended up being. Underneath here, you can see where the shifter attaches, this little guy. And when I first put it up on the lift, this was completely detached. And it doesn't look like it was broken or anything like that, just like the plastic was worn out, because I was able to pop it back on, but with minimal effort, you could slide it back off. So what I ended up doing was zip tying it here, and as I will now demonstrate, it still works pretty well, but this is far from the Maserati recommended fix. So now my plan is to lower the car down, hop up in there and record it from below so I can see if this zip tie solution is going to work temporarily, and if not, what we're gonna do about it. Here's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And then there's a neutral wiggle. Normally, this sort of quick fix repair isn't really my style. I like to do things right and replace a part like that with OEM if possible. But here's 2 issues. 1, this car has to be somewhere next week for a project that I can't exactly talk about. And 2, I can't find that part anywhere in stock, anywhere in the world. So my solution is that for now. But before I call this repair good to go, I'm gonna take this car over to the only person in the entire state who will even look at it, Johnny the Car Ninja, and see if he has any ideas on it or if he thinks this is as good as it's gonna get. So let's get the Maserati out on the road and carefully drive it over to the Car Ninjas. Okay, on the road, on the way to Johnny's, driving very carefully. Here's the shift. Okay, getting on the highway now. Be gentle. There's third. It feels okay, but I'm still worried about this thing snapping at any second. But we're rowing through the gears all right. All right, we're in 6th. So now all it has to do is row through the gears like 1 or 2 more times and we'll be at Johnny's. Hopefully the old Maserati makes it to Johnny's shop. What do you think, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, as in like, this is gonna be fine or I can do better?
You can do better.
Okay.
But it's not gonna last.
How long do you think you think I got like a week?
I doubt it.
Were you able to find this part? Because like I said,
No, I looked
Fur
everywhere.
Parts told me LOL no.
I looked everywhere, trust me. No.
Oh, great.
You can double them up and then it might last you longer, but what you need to do, you need to buy one of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, I'll trade you.
Sure.
Okay.
Keys in it.
Deal. Second question, unrelated. Is this car ready for track duty?
No.
Not even a little bit? I mean...
It's gonna break.
This will?
Yes.
Or something else?
Yeah. For sure this.
Oh, great. Okay, well, that's the opposite of a clean bill of health from your mechanic. That's so you bring it to him and he says, you could have done better, this is gonna break. This is why people give up on Maseratis though, because it's very cheap to attain, and then you've got a Ferrari expensive part that nobody has and can't get. All right, well see, he's doubling it up for me. This is gonna be great.
Hopefully.
I also hope so. Oh yeah, listen to that, sounds great.
It's tight.
Just as tight as it was from the factory?
Maybe. So if you decide to go to the track, just get a couple extra of...
Just bring some.
Yeah.
Okay. Track day prep for the Maserati, pack of zip ties. Can do. And so after that somewhat clean bill of health from Johnny the Car Ninja, it was time to load the Maserati up into the trailer and head off for the racetrack. But unfortunately, while we were there, something else went amiss, something we'll be exploring later on in the video. But for now, there was one other car that went to the racetrack as well, but it didn't need a trailer. It was my newly acquired 1983 Mercedes 300 TD, but this car drove there, did the track all day, and drove home without incident. And because of that, I'd like to reward it with an oil and filter change, and hopefully that'll wake this thing up a little bit and show it that I care about it a little bit. So let's get it up on the lift and get these fluids draining. All right, well, the car is on the lift now, and you can see we've got all the lights and stuff set up, so let's go see what this is gonna take. First and foremost, yes, the engine bay is pretty filthy, pretty gross, and definitely covered in oil. You notice that my heater line has been kind of tied off and whatever, but this is actually the oil filter canister. You have to remove this lid, and then there's a canister in there that comes out, and it's just these two bolts, and that's the first thing I'm gonna do before draining it from the actual pan. And as you can see, there are a bunch of like lines and stuff in the way, so let me set the camera on the tripod, we'll get that canister filter out, and that will begin the oil draining process. Even though my heater has been bypassed, those hoses are directly in the way. Imagine if they hadn't been. Try not to block it. Oh, okay. There's a weird rod thing. Get this out. Now we can see our canister filter, which has a handy dandy handle. Oh, it needs to drain a bit. Oh, man, that is a crazy looking filter. You know what, I'm just gonna give this a minute. I'll just let it sit right there. Man, that is black oil. Oh my goodness. All right, and after a moment to drippity drip drain itself, let's try this again, and then I'll just kind of cup it and put it over here. There we go. All right, and now that that's out of there, you can see this interesting setup and just what a cauldron of an oil filter well that this is. I mean, that's nuts. I don't think I've seen a bigger chasm with which to filter oil, but also this like really old school style filter. It's really cool and certainly different than what we get on modern cars. And that's because this isn't a modern car, Elliott, duh. I know, it's just, I'm marveling at its interestingness. All right, and with the CarTrek Mercedes in the air, we can now do what I believe they didn't even do on the show. We can look underneath it for the very first time ever on camera. Got a lot of dampness, a lot of oil going on, but I mean, what one of these cars doesn't have that? Ooh, a lot of dampness right there. How does that mount look? That looks okay. It's kind of a weird triangular dampener moving on here. Everything looks really good back here, probably because it can't spatter this far. Ooh, looks like we got a new brake caliper there and a new brake caliper there, which is pretty cool. What I see here, this is a little accumulator for the suspension. It must have one on the other side as well. It does look like it's disconnected. These Mercedes actually came with a self-leveling hydraulic suspension, which would have been insanely advanced for the time. Unfortunately, in my case, it does look like it's been disconnected, but I also understand that from a servicing standpoint, since these traditional springs look way easier to deal with. And continuing on, you can see more hydraulic accumulator balls there. Well, aside from being absolutely drenched with oil underneath, everything looks to be where it should be and nothing looks like it was about to fall off. So that's about as good of a visual assessment as I can give it. Ooh, another fun thing about these is you see this? This is called a jack hole. So it doesn't have jacking points. You actually have like a rod you shove in there and jack it up with. See, there's another one over here, another jack hole. And it's funny to me because that's what you call people. Like if somebody cuts you off on the road, you're like, hey, watch it, jackhole. But the Mercedes actually has jack holes. So anyway, let's get the oil draining on it. I just had to show you the jack holes. Oh yeah, that's about as black as I've ever seen. I'm looking straight into the light and you can't see through it even a little bit. So that's oil for you. But it doesn't look like there's a lot of metal shavings or anything in there, so that's good. It's always good. Look at that. Blacker than midnight. I mean, look at it in there. It's like straight sludge. Wow. All right, the car is on the ground now. Now it's time to put the new huge canister oil filter on. Filter time. Hey, get it. Oh yeah, that felt very positive. All right, now I'm gonna go splash some Rotilla on it. Hang on. And honestly, the good news about this engine bay being the way that it is I don't even need a funnel for this particular part. So it's just gonna be kind of a sloshing method to the best of my abilities. This is a mess though. That's honestly probably good. Now, just get to put the cap back on and fill it up like normal. I might do no funnel again, just live on the wild side here. And I gotta get a little oil on the gasket here, so just kind of work it around, which it can go here. And this is where my hoses start getting in the way again. Whew. There we go. Perfect. In order to get a tight grip on the wrench, I need to do the old Simple Green rinse, which is not an approved method of using Simple Green, but it is effective. Let me wipe off some of this because I got it mighty oily, although this entire engine bay is mighty oily. Now these, like most oil filter things, don't need to be incredibly tight, but you do want to make a seal. All right, so that part's done. Now apparently this takes like 7.9 quarts. And that is a lot of oil for this motor, I think, but kind of the name of the game with diesels, I guess. Just start it up, let it run for a couple of minutes, and then check the oil level, and probably top it off from there. All right. I know, buzz, buzz, buzz. My glow plug light doesn't work, so you just have to kind of guess at it. That's probably good. Oh. Fires right up every time. This thing rules. Now, let's make sure it's not spraying oil. Okay, nothing dripping under there. Jack hole looking good. And nothing bad over here either. All right, we'll give it a couple of minutes, top it off as necessary, and now we can move on to the fuel filter canister and the air filter, which should both be very simple, easy jobs, but necessary and good to do. So let's do it. Okay, oil has been changed and topped off. Everything's good there. Now it's time to do the main part of the fuel filtration system. There are 3 parts of that on this car, but the main one is this front filter right here, which you guys all saw Tyler improperly remove and then improperly reinstall on CarTrack 5. But my plan is to actually properly do it successfully this time. It actually kind of looks like an oil filter, but it's not. It's for diesel fuel. Yeah, I should probably get this new one ready to go. Because I think this is going to happen pretty fast. It is full of diesel. I'm going to try to transfer some of it into this new one so that way there's not a bunch of air in the system. Now, some people would do this with like a coffee filter or something. Not me. I'm just going to dump it in there. It's not completely full, but it's more full than it would have been if I just tried to run it dry. So let's leave the sediment, gross stuff in this one. Actually, no need for it. I'm gonna wipe this canister so I can actually get a grip on it. And it's got a bite on it. And now we just wanna snug it up, but not too tight because it'll cause it to leak. The next order of business is actually the inline fuel filter, but O'Reilly's was out of stock of that, so it's gonna have to wait until tomorrow. But honestly though, it's just this guy down here. It's pretty much like the kind of filter you'd put on a lawnmower or anything like that. So I'm probably just gonna do that off camera. But there is one more filter I'd like to change before getting this bad boy out on the road, and that's this big air filter right here, which should be very easy to replace compared to a modern car. All right, and we've got our new air filter, which can stay up there, but this one's relatively toolless. You just kind of spin everything off here and Bob's your uncle. It should be an air filter under here. It's got some oil on it, that's for sure. But like I said, this whole car is all about oil. There's oil everywhere, in everything. I don't even think these have a top or a bottom. I think they just go in. Okay. Spin, spin, spin. There we go. I think this thing's all filtered up now. Now the question is, how easily will it start, knowing that there is probably a tiny bit of air in the fuel system? And the only way to know is to just give it a whirl. So let's try to fire this thing back up again. Let's see here. Fired right up. Let's go see if it's leaking any fuel. Oh, uh-oh. Okay, so sounds like it needs to be primed just a tiny bit, because that got rough and then stopped. So this is the primer that, well, did have a condom over it, but then melted. But I think it works. The only way to know is to, I mean, I don't know how much to prime it. Well, it is leaking, so maybe it does need to be fixed. But let's give it another whirl. This feels bad. Ah. Yeah. Oh. Look at that. Looks good. Sounds great. I think we're good. I think this thing is ready for another few 100,000 miles. Obviously with more filter changes in between there, but good work, car. You've earned it. Now, let's go see what's going on with the Maserati. So as far as the CarTrek Maserati is concerned, the fact is it's broken. But where is it? And why isn't it in here? While I can't tell you exactly what I was doing or who I was with just yet, I can show you the exact moment something went wrong.
My shift linkage just broke. I'm just gonna have to do it in this one gear.
So where is the car now, if that's what happened? Well, let me go show you. Well, as you can see, the Maserati is still in the trailer crying because it's been hurt. But that's okay, because we're gonna fix it. We just need to get it back out of here first. And for that, I'm gonna need some help. So 1 second while we get this car out of here. All right, well, I'm in. I would check if it's in neutral, but there's no point. It's in third for sure. Good to go. All right. Oh, this feels so bad to move it in third. Oh, it feels so wrong, especially on this newish clutch. All right, for those of you not busy reporting me to the authorities for clutch abuse, the Maserati is now up in the air and we can finally see what went wrong. So, previously, it was this, and it is still zip tied, so that is definitely not the problem. But as you can also hear, it's not snicking anymore as it was earlier in the video. This time, the problem is up here. It's this little pin that is just no longer attached, and you can see it should attach right there. So I don't really know what caused that to fall out or fail, but I do know that it should be fairly easy to replace. Maserati does actually make that part, but I have a feeling we can make a better version of that in-house. Well, there's never a shortage of things to do around here, and today was no exception. We got to reward the CarTrek Mercedes with an oil and filter change, and the CarTrek Maserati is going to be a lot happier the next time you see it. But you're gonna have to stay tuned for next time to see what else goes on. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. It's a great place for some behind the scenes action and a lot of stuff I don't get to post on my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook, join my Facebook group. It's a great place to share memes, and I'm almost always in there interacting in the comments. And other than that, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe on this video. It greatly helps my YouTube performance, and I will see you guys on the next video.